Hello friends, good morning. Welcome you all. I am Akash Coordinator Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge and PhD scholar at Delhi University. Today we have our 30th lecture and this lecture is also going to be enriching for you as earlier was. This is a lecture series which started on 14th April 2025 on the occasion of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Jayanti. The institute founder is Professor Leela Karunyakara sir. The idea behind this institution is to provide space to social scientists, scholars who are engaged in the field of Dalit studies. So we are giving platform to the scholars and social scientists, professors who are engaged with the field of social Dalit studies. And now, and Professor Leela Karunyakara sir is going to chair this lecture. So I request Darshana, Dr. Darshana Meshram, to welcome and introduce our professor, Professor Leela Karunyakara sir. Dr. Darshana Meshram.
Good morning and Jai Bhim everyone. Professor Dr. Leela Karunyakara is a prestigious scholar, thinker and writer, a Dalit historian known for his significant contribution in the field of Dalit studies, philosophy of religion and social justice. He earned a MPhil and PhD from JNU, New Delhi. Professor Karunyakara, 1997, in Ambedkar Studies, Babasaheb Rao Ambedkar University, BBAU, a Center University, Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh. As assistant professor and also work associate professor in 2005. After that, he holds senior faculty roles at Mahatma Gandhi Antarashtriya Hindi Vishwavidyalaya Wardha, including School of Culture, Dean, and briefly acting Vice Chancellor in 2023. He founded the Ambedkar Study Circle ASC at Mahatma Gandhi Antarashtriya Hindi Vishwavidyalaya on February 21, 2022 to promote discussion on Dr. B.R. Ambedkar writing and speeches. He also established a group called Ambedkar Right on December 6, 2022. He authored a book, History of Dalit Identity, which addresses the origin of meaning of the Dalit. His YouTube channel, Dalit Knowledge, founded by him, aims to build a Dalit intellectual community. As the visionary founder of the Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge, he has been instrumental in advancing Dalit knowledge studies and fostering intellectual dialogue. Please welcome Professor Dr. Leela Karunyakara sir to guide us in this enriching session. Please join us.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Darshana,
Thank you.
Professor Karunyakara sir. For today's lecture, we also have a very eminent speaker. Now I request Dr. Smita Bhagat to introduce and welcome our key speaker, Dr. Smita Bhagat.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Akash. Good morning and Jai Bhim to all of you. It's an honor for me to give an introduction of such a dynamic and highly intellectual personality. Actually, it's a very challenging job for me to make a brief introduction of today's honorable guest because his academic work is so vast and wide. Still, I'm trying to make it brief. Professor N. Sukumar is an eminent scholar and social scientist in the field of political science in specialization of Indian political thoughts, anti-caste studies, higher education, human rights, social exclusion and inclusion. He is a professor and faculty at the Political Science Department, Delhi University. Professor Sukumar is visiting faculty at the Indian Institute of Dalit Studies and Osmania University. He is a member of many university, academic, and administrative bodies, including member of State Education Policy Commission, Government of Karnataka. Also, a chairperson, External Fact-Finding Committee on Caste Discrimination at IIT Delhi. He wrote 4 books and published them around 50 articles, paper and research in different journals. Also completed 10 national and international research projects. Under Professor Sukumar supervisions, 14 doctoral and 23 MPhil students completed their degrees. We are glad to have Professor Sukumar again in the KIDK institution as our key speaker. Listening to him also be an enriching experience for us. So it's a warm welcome, sir, from KIDK
Thank you so
team.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sunita. And Akash, thank you so much. Akash, you want to say something?
Yes, Professor N. Sukumar sir going to deliver his lecture on embodied memories growing with Dr. Ambedkar. So I request Professor N. Sukumar sir, please, over to you.
Thank you so much, Akash, Sunita, and Darshana, Professor Lille, Karunyakara, who is an instrumental in bringing some of us to such kind of platform where Dalit knowledge, Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge, which is really, playing a very instrumental role in building the new scholars, emerging scholars. And intellectually, it is very stimulating to engage with all of you. And I also, I saw Professor More. So good morning to all of you and JB. Basically, today's my lecture, it is nothing but why I did. I just want to give a hint that why did I give this title? Embodied memories, growing with Ambedkar or a journey with Ambedkar. It's like it's a continuous engagement of my study or my engagement from my childhood when I look back into certain incidents, certain contexts, and then how I'm continuously growing with Ambedkar's ideas or even Ambedkar as a living embodiment. So whenever as individuals we engage or we encounter with certain things in our life worlds, surroundings, it is nothing but we try to bring Ambedkar into that kind of fold and see and unpack certain events which happens in and around. Say whether it is your village or whether a workplace or any other, some celebrations, many other things. So therefore, it is an unending project. In fact, I keep on writing and it's a continuous project till my death. The last day of my death also will be recorded as a memory when it comes to. So therefore, it's an unending thing. Probably it might leads towards to a kind of a book which probably somebody might I guess somebody will publish it as my memories. With how my memories are growing along with, or it's a journey with Ambedkar. So therefore, that is why this title shapes. And in fact, this is a kind of autoethnographic methodology which I used. It's like how certain things, certain sign points or certain, developments in our life, from student days to childhood to student days, and being part of to Ambedkarite movement, and then moving towards for a bread and butter in Delhi, and how I continuously engaged with the Brahminical Dalit subjectivity encountering with Brahminical subjectivity. So in the process, I try to bring, as I said, many concerns which revolved around me. And it's a long back. It's a kind of, I'm happy that, Sunita introduced me, and of course, as a social scientist, therefore, we are all social scientists, we are all political scientists, we are all historians. We are not confined to Dalit identity, though our vantage point is an anti-caste tradition. We are not shying away to recognize ourselves as Dalit scholars, but at the same time, we are social scientists, we are historians, we are philosophers. So therefore, I'm so happy that that is also what I'm going to come slightly later in my lecture. How I have been branded as, a Dalit scholar. So therefore, this work has been already partly, this first part of my, paper, which has been already published. So the rest of the part I am not going to present today. I'll be presenting maybe, some other time later, whenever it requires. So this part is being published in Social Scientists in South Asia. This is the book edited by Achala and Gopi Devdutt and Rashi Bhargava, sociologists. Three of them are sociologists. So when they asked me about my writing about the discrimination thing, I said no, sorry, I don't want. I want something new to be presented. So therefore, this paper is an outcome of it, which I was writing for over many years. So therefore, the book title is Social Scientists in South Asia: Personal Narrative, Social Forces and Negotiations. So my title is also moreover same to this, but instead of journey, I made it as Growing with Ambedkar. So it's moreover the same title. But I would like to start with very interesting observation what I made by a sociologist, by C.W. Mills, in his work Sociological Imaginations. Because we need to imagine our life worlds when we are trying to historicize, when we are trying to contextualize certain things which happens around us. In his work, his Sociological Imagination, he wrote that the sociological imagination enables us to grasp history and biography and the relations between the two within the society. The two can be Dalit, non-Dalit, any two, whether it can be men, women, or whether it can be any kind of identity. But I would like to bring here a context of Dalit and non-Dalit, especially how the Dalit self negotiates with the other self, which I also presented last time in the last lecture. The Dalit and the non-Dalit, how it encounters. For the scholar, the most important task for the social scientist is, it is for the social scientist, politically and intellectually, is to foreground elements of uneasiness and indifference in society. Oh my God. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
sorry,
sir, yes.
there was a power off. So therefore, generally it doesn't go, but I don't know, somehow it happened today. My apologies for that. But anyway, so therefore, as per C.W. Mills, it is, he or she who becomes a social task of any social scientist or politically and intellectually is a foregrounding elements of imagined universe, and it's a continuous, process. And that, most important functions of a narrative is to situate particular events against a larger origin of what we consider human passion, virtues, philosophies, actions, and relationships. So anything, Ambedkarite movement is a very passionate movement. Ambedkarite scholars are very passionate. And it becomes virtues, philosophies, actions, and relationships. Today, if we are all coming together, is nothing but something is connecting. And that something is nothing but a kind of Ambedkarite project which we adopted to take this agenda towards to the future origins, future actions. Methodologically, we need to keep this in our mind. So the narrative actively challenges the participants to make sense of enigmatic and frustrated situations, whether in the classroom, workspace, laboratory, or agricultural field, courtroom, using public utilities, and any other space simply in the course of conversing with the family, friends, colleagues, and others. So we keep on. These are the spaces which we every day, get up and, encounter with friends, colleagues, or, sometimes, strangers. Sometimes, strangers, caste hooligans. Okay. So faced with such a challenge, the narrators strive. It's my strive. I'm the narrator here. The narrators strive to negotiate between various understandings of the situation or arrive at a solution to the problem. You come to a situation where you try to arrive for a solution. What happens? What is next? The solution could be temporal or it could be permanent, but something, which keeps on wailing you in your mind, keeping you bothering, keeping you thinking, keeping you engaging. That is where exactly. So the inter and intrapersonal relationships and social structures relegate certain classes of people to specific categories. Within they are susceptible to lose their self-respect due to both internal and external influences. Many a times we lose or we feel that we are losing this self-respect due to internal and external influences. And what are those internal influences? The internal influences factors are nothing but it includes self-deception. We may not be so assertive. Self-deception. We feel self-defeative. So therefore, our self-respect, could not be assertive. Weakness of the will. We may not be willing to fight back. We may not be willing to fight with the system which has been completely controlled over centuries. And confused values, confused value judgment. Sometimes, it happens. When it comes to, why we cannot become part and parcel of a public life. Why the politics of presence? We cannot become politics of presence. Is it because somewhere we are confused that if we become politics of presence, that, my professional advancement becomes, so therefore, lot of confused, value judgment. No. My system se fayda utana. So therefore, we are caught up in this situation. So therefore, these are the internal things which we really caught up, and the external forces, factors are based on exploitation and dominance. It could be caste, patriarchy, any number of power structures that operates within the society. Now, the first encounter of the caste which I have encountered is nothing but how the geographic of power operates. See, look, segmentation जो है वो पूरा वो society का अंदर segmentation is an inevitable part of Indian society that is strictly practiced in every everyday life of ours. Our means every individual. It is both Dalit and non-Dalit. It is become. But more affected by this segmentation is the Dalits or Dalits. Since it is based on social hierarchy, individuals who are at a lower level have to negotiate with the socially constructed superior other on many fronts. Superior, I am putting in quotes. There is nothing called superior, inferior, something. But within quotes, the superior on many fronts, from birth to death, because your dead body, experience humiliations. Your dead body experience, outcast, even after the death, including the social, economic, cultural, political, and n number of spaces. So therefore, like many other Indian villages, the researchers' village, my village, and many of us come from village, and we know that how things happens. The villagers, researchers' village begins with the upper caste locality. Again, upper caste, I am putting it within quotes. Within its well-paved roads and prosperous houses, then the gradual slope towards to the lower caste communities. Lower caste again within quotes. Because आप कहीं पे भी गांव में चलिए, uru and palle. There is a difference in Telugu. Uru means the common, the superior, socially superior, or within, or the other, who live, and then the Dalit, lives. It's a slowly, it's a way, and you can see the prosperity of certain, spaces and the non-prosperity of certain spaces. So my village is also like that. Even I am still signatory, 40 years of my father's struggle for a road to my village is still pending. We don't have a road. We talk about Viksit Bharat, Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav, many other things very grandly. But my village doesn't even have a road even till today. But it's another matter that, they cannot challenge us when we walk because of our, assertive sense. That's one another thing. So therefore, the local semiotics indicate that Uru village for the upper caste space and Palli for the lower caste. Incidentally, it's only recently that the Palli has got some decent roads and some individual families have built better houses. Now Dalits are no more like, olden days. You also build your own house. You try to live with dignity. Okay, how these, geographies of power is defined. One needs to understand that. So since caste is the central feature of Hindu society, Dalits who are at the bottom scale have to bear the burden of their hegemonized selves. You go back to any village, you can see still our brothers and sisters are languishing for a kind of support structure they really deserve. And so therefore, in 1984, during the elections of local cooperative society, a tussle was broken between the OBC communities and the Kamma communities in my village. And I was hardly, around 19 years old, 18. It was like, I was, 16 years old. Okay. So after, what happened? There was a tussle because, there was an electoral politics. They went to vote, use their franchise. And still we debate about, the franchise, even which is highly, heated debate even in contemporary times. When they went to vote, there was a tussle. And then therefore the Kammas attacked these OBCs. And as an adolescent young mind, I was struggling myself what to do in such a situation. I know that it's a crime. It's what is happening is bad. And that, this gruesome incident made a deep impression on the researcher's adolescent mind. For the first time, a sense of protest emerged in my mind. And many thoughts were wailing in my mind to inform police. Here as a researcher, I am, mentioning either should I come to the police or how to stop the violence, to film the episode and make it as evidence. So it was like, many thoughts were, I was, struggling myself. And later on, the complaint was registered and, obviously there was a compromise formula. There was no justice. And then few of them who were the victims of the violence of OBCs migrated to new nearby towns and they settled there. Then the story ends there. And then another incident, I would like to bring. These are the incidents which I'm bringing in with some kind of method which I used. The topography of embodiment. Revolutionary remembrance is not a passive exercise. It's very active exercise. Instead, the very act is subversive. Therefore, we are all a very, active embodiments of this Ambedkarite project. And one can bring, the next generation need to know what kind of struggles that all of us has experienced so that, it will be documented as a history of Dalit struggles or Dalit memory. So the researcher's objective realities contoured with dehumanizing experiences. One incident which still rankles in my mind, even still. When I was 7-year-old child, I was going to a convent school because I'll come to that also why I was able to go to a convent school. Okay. And when I used to get morning and, get ready and go, and I have to walk 2 kilometers to the school. So other Kamma community children also, they used to come. So we all together, we used to go. There used to be one grandfather who used to accompany with us. So I went and sat. Any dominant village, there will be a place called Racha. Racha means a central place where there will be a stone or a central, वो होता है ना एक जगह में सब लोग बैठ के बातचीत करने का जो होता है, मीटिंग असेंबलिंग पॉइंट. वहां पे जो पुराना जमाना में पत्थर ही होते थे, मोटा मोटा बड़ा बड़ा पत्थर होते थे बैठने के लिए. आजकल कुर्सियां विर्सियां आ गया. So when I went and when I sat, because I didn't know the politics of space, where to sit. So my aunt, who was also a government employee, while passing saw me and said that, suddenly she said, no, please don't sit on the stone. That's a banda. So I was shocked that I was confused. Basically, I was a kid. I was not able to rationalize. So she said, no, this is not our space to sit. Either you stand or sit on the ground. So what made this to me is that as a 7-year-old child, he could not rationalize the context. Similarly, the researcher witnessed certain incidents like his community elders, even government employees. Why they were government employees, I will tell that. I will come to that in the next story. It will come. Holding their chappals with their walk through when they walk through the village. Because वो गांव का पहले, many of you might have seen Untouched India. If you see, you will witness such kind of things, which as a child I have witnessed in my village. So they carry the chapel from the entrance, from the where, in the hands, and then at the end of the village, they go and they put it and they go. Even though they are government employees. And they would get up in the respect, and many number of times, these caste community people, when they come to the village, you have to get up. Irrespective of age, even a younger fellow comes, you have to get up. But the only answer the researcher got for his query was that, is it because of our caste? So when you try to think that, why all these things happen, is it because of your caste? If not caste, then what? Okay. And either certain things like work and worship, love and play, storytelling and dreaming, death and burial, life's events are set in and attached to the found and built environments. All these things it is built environments. Our base is somewhere constructed across all these things. This means that both the emotions and the memories of these lived and shared events may, for the relevant people, inhere partly in their places where they happen. In or around offices or hilltops, parks or street corners, footpaths or fields, and rippling out into larger landscapes and connected locations. Okay? In a modern Western office or an early modern village in agriculture or industrial or a mountainous or maritime environs, the geography of embodiment is also psychological, affective, and mnemonic, through and through. How do I explain this? Rocher describes the connected and communal aspect of place memory. What he says that, I'm bringing Rocher here, the memories of having inhabited some house in some town or that of having traveled in some part of the world are particularly eloquent and telling. Something, which tells, it speaks, your village. The space speaks to you. You can listen what exactly happened 20 years before when you were. So it was like, many thoughts were, I was, struggling myself. So when you try to think that, why all these things happen, he's emphasizing. They wave together an intimate memory and one shared by those close to one. In memories of this type, corporeal space is immediately linked with the surroundings of space, of the environment, some fragment of inhabitable land with its more or less accessible paths, it's more or less easy to cross obstacles. That is where I try to contextualize these concepts. So let me bring one more incident. You know what I mean? The crucial factor in my background is my parental background. Okay? Many of us also might be second generation. Though my father was the first generation who studied till 10th class. You know what I mean? It was like SSLC, old SSLC. Okay? And my grandfather was a wage labor, and also occasionally he used to do a small scale business of fetching tamarinds and selling the tamarind. And so therefore it was a kind of little bit economically stable family. And my father got a job as a 4th class employee, as a clerk. So therefore, whatever the humiliations that the other experience, that we are slightly spared off because, of that certain economical stability. And we got escaped, my family escaped much of the indignities suffered by the other excluded, families in our village. One thing stands out, a symbol of protest. The researcher father, till date, even till now he is 87, till date he wears only white khadi. The white symbolizes something different. And all my other co-villagers, because of the modernity, my place where the railway junction was located, so therefore, how railway junction has provided some employment, 4th class employment towards to these people as, gangman, kalaiman and many other things. They also started wearing white clothes. So that become an irk to the other communities. So the economic status ensured that the village, respected not only my father because of, his employment and other things, but whereas that was not equally applied towards to other. As I said, some people used to carry their chapel, and, they get up, with all kinds of, stuff. So this kind of, colonial modernity, which really enabled some space for us. The regular paycheck at the end of the month enabled them to hold their head high. The salaried employees, and the difference between a wage labor. See, therefore, that is where reservations, employment, everything matters for Dalits. And therefore, we need to struggle for that. We should not keep it when I said the politics of silence is dangerous. I keep on telling to my, colleagues, my friends, my Ambedkarite friends, everybody, even not only Ambedkarite friends, everybody, the consciousness of mind to question the wrong is very important, as Ambedkar said, which is very good for democratic, democracy. Anyway, so the majority of these employees would wear white dhotis and shirts, reaffirming their ability to wear white, white. Who can able to wear white clothes those days? Imagine. It's because of a small paycheck. And that is where what matters. The researcher can still recall the sense of pride with which his father shared the news that they succeeded in installing a portrait of Ambedkar at the railway station, Pakala railway station. Okay. History records many instances of wars and battles on ideological lines. However, there is no record of the battles that ordinary people waged to assert their dignity and lead to life of self-respect. A sojourn in any rural area of Andhra Pradesh will reveal a very common feature. Not only Andhra Pradesh, of course, Maharashtra, Telangana, you go to many other UP, a full length of birth-size sculptures of Ambedkar clutching a copy of the Indian Constitution can be witnessed. So a visitor would be perplexed as contrary to the Sarkari memory of Gandhi. Therefore, I bring Sarkari memory of Gandhi, and these sculptures reflect the marginalized people's veneration and symbolizes their strength. I mean, Ambedkar, sculptures. Or, the statues. And I had a paper on Ambedkar, every Ambedkar statue in this country, when it is installed there is a history of struggle between installing every Ambedkar statue. If I'm not wrong, please go back and look into the records of the history. Marathwada University is the best example where when Ambedkar name has been initiated, there was worst form of violence that has been erupted. Now, I don't want to get more into this. No, if I keep on explaining, one memory is enough to deal with 45 minutes. I have a lot of memories to share. Sorry, so therefore I am rushing. Then during those days, maybe I think Professor Lele Karunyakara might also be knowing about this, or if there is any Telugu or maybe history, people who know about certain records, published records, they might be knowing it. In those days, a radical magazine was making its presence felt. I felt my presence because of that radical magazine. This was nothing but Hetuvadam. Hetuvadam is nothing but rationalism. Edited by Boja Tarakam, a Dalit lawyer. The magazine critiqued Hinduism, rituals, practices while highlighting the issues of equality and rights. So therefore, see, I was completely engrossed into this. I used to meticulously read this. He also used to publish small booklets to popularize the notions of rights, to illustrate, for example, first time I came to know that, a small booklet which is called, if police arrests you, it is in Telugu, Polisulu arrestu cheste. Another activist, Katti Padmarao, Lokayuta Publications, Black, Nalupu, Kula Nirmulana, Annihilation of Caste, Dalita Rajyam, Dalit Nation, used to highlight Ambedkarite ideology. So these are the writings which in my adolescent age, really pushed me into this kind of, activism. These works played a crucial role in radicalizing the researcher's father's outlook, so much so that he took all the images of gods and goddesses and threw them in the nearby tank. Gradually, the researcher too developed a critical attitude towards all religious rituals. Now, challenging the meritocracy. What is remarkable, striking for the researcher is that while his understanding of Ambedkar's ideology was getting sharpened, the regular pedagogy of the academic domain failed to satiate his queries. The entire society was in deep ferment due to Mandal agitations. Therefore, what I did? The sciences and commerce students was, how did I came to know that how the meritocracy operates in the institutions in 1987 and 91. 91, the importance of how Mandal agitation. So when I was a graduate student in AP Residential Degree College, Nagarjuna Sagar, which is a residential college, there was, the entire, from 90s it started, there was a protest, anti-Mandal protest. And it is because of there was a lot of protest, many other students like science students, commerce students who come from well-off background, they used to completely critique reservations. So therefore, I felt that, look, it is through reservation I got the seat, and they are questioning my merit and my quota status that has constitutionally given to me this space. And therefore, the researcher was able to secure seat in this college because of reservations. And I was, introspecting how to challenge, how to counter this, the anti-Mandal hooligans. And 10 days I was suspended. When we took a very different kind of agitation towards them when we were in graduation. That's a different story. Okay, so at a subconscious level, we often pondered his worth, his excellence, his worth or his excellence. Anybody's worth and excellence is being questioned here. And in informal discussions among friends, the researcher realized that the protesters were questioning his benefits and merits. So the researcher is grateful to his teachers who installed in him the courage to question and critique established norms and values. There are few teachers who played a crucial role, wonderful role. Though few of them are from Dalit background, few of them are from non-Dalit background. In 1991, as a researcher, entered into Hyderabad Central University. And see, these are all, how I continuously growed with Ambedkar's ideas, with Ambedkar, in fact. It's a living embodiment. That's what I say. And when I entered into Hyderabad Central University, there was full of, it was an uproar. The campus was divided into two. And there was a Progressive Students Forum, PSF, which was mixture of many people coming together, Marxist, Dalit, or, feminists, liberal, many other than the anti-mandal agitators who are Brahminical, who talks about merit and other things, dominant caste groups. Let us put it in this way. So it was a huge struggle, and somewhere as a young scholars, we tried to observe that where is that our space belongs to. By evening, our seniors used to call, चलो चलो आज हमारा मीटिंग है, mobilize करना, हम बाद में protest करना, ये करना, वो करना. So therefore, a sense of belongingness has, ignited a sense of, revolutionary feeling, democratic revolutionary feeling among us. And so, the Dalit students in the campus existed at an invisible subterranean level, which the researcher encountered and experienced during his sojourn in the campus. Though movement was there, many. So therefore, after PSF, then, Ambedkar Students Association existed. After that, Dalit Students Union comes in. Then many other, then Bahujan Students Union comes in. Any number of, unions comes in as a process. But the campus politics was dominated by Progressive Students Forum, comprising left and Dalit groups. On the other hand, the anti-Mandal Commission force, the polarization was on caste and disciplinary subject lines. Majority of the sciences and techno-professional students supported the later group. And there was a sense of security as well as enabled to effectively identify and challenge the agitation against our rights. In the process, we learned to recognize who are the supporters, mobilize sympathizers among the teaching, non-teaching, apart from the students, and create the politics of presence in the campus life. Next, valorizing the margins. I'm sorry, I'm taking more time. Maybe I'll quickly ahead. I don't want to make you people to wait. The verbalizing the margins. I'm giving certain titles also where I'm trying to place my arguments. In 1992, the Ambedkar centenary celebrations comes in, and Mandal agitation. We realized who are our people, who are the supporters, sympathizers. 92 becomes centenary celebrations. It was a huge aura. Like after Karam Chadu, then a sense of, again, belongingness, all these things happened. It has organized across the country. The public adulation for Ambedkar was a revelation for everybody. And, in small towns like Andhra Pradesh, what happens? Whenever an N.T. Ramarao's film, N.T. Ramarao was the erstwhile, chief minister, and he was a very popular actor. Whenever his movies comes in, he played a very important roles, like mythological roles, like Lord Lama, Lord Krishna, whatever, Duryodhana, Ravana, all kinds of characters, this guy. And, people go crazy, gaga, and, they light campfire and, coconuts, it's like a huge celebration in this front of these fellows, in cutouts, theaters, many other spaces. They worship his huge cutouts with milk, camphor, coconuts, lemons, and so on and dance with frenzy. Even today, across many Andhra, Telangana, many other places, God is worshipped in the form of NTR's image. A similar emotion was witnessed during the Ambedkar's birth centenary, as young minds, what we used to witness to illustrate. An Ambedkar statue at the Tank Band, a prominent location in Hyderabad, reflects the layers of emotions exhibited by the counter public. We as young students, we used to go for full of 3 buses after garlanding all Ambedkar statues within the hostels from Hyderabad University. So you go as a procession. By the time, the Sarkari celebration of Ambedkar in the beginning, where, Chief Minister comes and garlands and goes off, and then the civil and the Dalit Ambedkarite groups take over the society, the space, and then it's a huge celebration. And we also go, we used to go and, we take off, this kind of public, celebrations. As per their economic capability, different Dalit groups and individuals hide huge trucks, accompanied by an orchestra, enormous garlands, and so on. The entire area is jam-packed with lakhs of people. Singing and dancing with joyous abandon. Many Dalit ideologues deliver impromptu speeches. It is an occasion to mingle with kindred spirits and feel at home. You go to a celebrated space, you feel that, yes, I am at home. This was the feeling. Even still, I feel so, it gives goosebumps for me to revert back. So those places, they speak to me. Of course, one can realize the enormous emotional appeal and mystic which the aura of Ambedkar invokes among the masses. He is neither a screen god nor a deity who has to be appeased with various rituals by a living embodiment of people's life words. Inspired by the electrifying atmosphere, the researcher and his friends decided to install the very important thing. So what we did, as a student, we tried to install an Ambedkar portrait at other hostels in the HU campus where the Ambedkar image was not there. Not surprisingly, we encountered stiff opposition. The tussle occurred between two opposing ideologies of the new research scholars hostel. They want to bring Ambedkar, they want to bring Vivekananda statue, and we want to install Ambedkar statue. So that was the struggle. And therefore, this issue went till UGC. The Vice Chancellor wrote to UGC at that point of time, saying that, therefore, UGC at one point of time came out with a scheme called epoch makers, where, they can be part of their, different, spaces. So to bring Vivekananda or many other things, UGC comes up with a beautiful circular and says that, okay, Ambedkar statue also can be there, Vivekananda statue can be there, or even Gandhi, many other statues can be there. So epoch makers ka ek naya policy leke hai. See, our contribution towards this struggle is, significant to understand. And finally, a compromise was worked out, and both the portraits were permitted in different halls. The नीचे कोई एक दूसरा टीवी हॉल में किसी एक का होगा, नीचे हॉल में अंबेडकर का होगा, ऊपर टीवी हॉल में विवेकानंदा का होगा. Okay, so this makes one ponder as to why the nomenclature of Ambedkar is so threatening. Ambedkar statue is threatening, Ambedkar ringtone is threatening, Ambedkar portrait is threatening, Ambedkar name is threatening. What is so powerful about Ambedkar? No, who is scared about Ambedkar? Or who is scared about his thought? And that is where, we need to carry the legacy. Anyway, is it because the very idea challenges entrenched values and speak of different language, which we speak? So therefore, the other is threatened. Your Lille spoke and there was a problem in your entire university. It got threatened, And now, the wound never heals. This wound never heals. The massacre of 14 Dalits in Chundur that follows 91 Mandal, 92, Ambedkar centenary, and then followed up with Chundur incident, the next very year. Once again reinforced the sense of psychological alienation. Chundur incident was a major incident where 14 Dalits were killed. And you might be all knowing about it. Otherwise, please go back and look into the history of Dalit struggles. After the charged atmosphere of Mandal agitations, Ambedkar centenary celebrations, Chundur incident came as a rude awakening that the road towards liberty and fraternity is still strewn with the purpose of innocent humans who just wanted to survive. In the same year, Ambedkar Students Association took shape in an independent organization. While PSF strove to develop a consensus over reservations, ASA had a wider Dalit agenda. It generated an interest in the researcher to delve into caste and communal conflict, social movements, and human rights, which I picked up as my research agenda, and also as a research agenda after I became a faculty in Delhi University. So how these incidents has shaped me to pick up my research agenda. And this coincided. What happened? All these things, this coincided with arrival of Gadar, who was a very popular singer. Many of you might be knowing about him. A very popular singer who was a left Maoist, artist and who fought by being in underground. Varavar Rao, who wrote Untouchable Spring. Kalyan Rao, who wrote Untouchable Spring. Varavar Rao, still, who is facing sedition charges. Kati Padma Rao, Bojja Tarakam, and others who motivated the students to challenge the entrenched, interests. Like, they all, the presence, they came, they enlightened us, their presence in the campus moved us. So listening to their fiery renderings of social injustice, many amongst the students chose the gun as a protest. But there are many other students also who chose constitution as a democratic constitution as a weapon. Gun and constitution as a weapon, which I took constitution as a weapon to fight. That doesn't mean that I am disrespecting those who went in a different way. So therefore, Ambedkarism, so sensitized with these myriad outpourings of rebellious ideas, the researcher opted for a detailed study of Ambedkarism for his future research work at that point of time. Now, the myth of merit. Another two stories and I will stop. Okay. The idea of merit is central to the Dalit existence. We know that, how reservations, any kind of, things that which revolves around within the university system. In 1991 and 2000, I don't know, young scholars, how many of you are there here? Those who got through your MPhils and PhDs through reservation, I want to put it on record. In 1991-2000, Professor Hari Gautam was the UGC chairman. And they came out with a wonderful circular, wonderful within quotes, saying that reservations are not applicable or dropped in MPhil and PhDs in future. That was the circular. So they decided that reservations would not be implemented in the MPhil and PhD level as it dilutes the research quality. That was the exact terminology which they used. And this measure created fury. And therefore, what we did, we led a huge agitation. We completely, you don't believe that, at another side, my supervisor, we completely, shut down the university. Let me put it on record. We shut down the university after 15 days, relay hunger strike. And then we came to know that Professor Hari Gautam was coming to Hyderabad for conducting this convocation. So, in fact, we invited our very eminent, a Bangalore-based Dalit V.T. Rajsekar for that kind of, program also. And we shut down the university. On the other side of the gate, my supervisor was standing. On the inside of the gate, we were standing, and we were completely said that nothing is doing until this circular is withdrawn. So we went and garaged, took the help of the press people at that point of time. We garaged Hari Gautam saying that, look, you cannot do this, and we are ready to give our lives. And therefore, immediately within 5 days, the circular comes in that withdrawing their proposal of not doing that. So therefore, how all these things can, happen in a space. And then, of course, now that the Dalit counter public is knocking at the doors of their Brahminical academia, one wants to project Saraswati in the name of merit. Ultimately, the UGC was forced to withdraw this particular order. Fortune favored the researcher. Because, many of us are sometimes, lucky enough. Otherwise, now in contemporary times, if you want to get a job, you have to completely surrender yourself to the right-wing ideology. And therefore, many of our bright students are completely taken over by these ideologies because of their bread and butter. So, fortune favored the researcher and propelled him to join the faculty in the premier within quotes, institution which is called Delhi University, one of the centers of privileged academy. Again, privileged academy. And the ASN, what happened, there was, first time, universities like Hyderabad or peripheral universities, they expect people who come from Delhi or maybe Mumbai, towards to other universities. So therefore, fortunately, I was going from Hyderabad to Delhi. So it was still, a memory that, there were around 300 to 400 students who came together. That one day before I left, they came and they took me as a procession, playing the drums, singing Ambedkarite songs, and going and collecting all the students, coming all the hostels to, NRS hostel, and facilitating me with Ambedkar quote, big bust of, bust or the image, poster. And that made me, more responsible towards to this project. And then after coming from there, I was felt completely, clueless what is there, because you'd see that in any conscious spaces like Hyderabad University, where there is a place who will welcome you. When Professor Ratnam came, so we were all so happy that Ratnam is coming, and we together went, and many other Dalit faculty. When Professor Tirmal, there was a lot of people who come together. Therefore, you have a sense of belongingness in that place. But for me, it was completely lost. There was no space for me to come and associate myself with, in Delhi University. So what made me to, so therefore what happened, this made me to found, maybe after, over a period of time, because there was no Dalit Teachers Association or campus, many things. So we tried to figure out, a small Dalit Teachers Association called Enlightened Teachers Front, where Professor Rajkumar, many others will become part and part, Narendra Kumar, many other becomes part and parcel of it. It's a journey with other colleagues, and which founded on the issues of fighting for the teachers, union. And then ultimately, we don't want to fight on teachers' elections. But anyway, I went back to do my PhD on wind up. And then by the time I came back, this organization went towards to contesting elections. I said, nothing doing. There should be an ideological strengthening before getting into electoral politics. And now it is not existing. And now it has become a non-existing phase, course where the few amongst us try to at least, pool resources in order to provide assistance to nearby students, regardless of many kind of community affiliations. So we try to collect some fee for some students, our students, all those things. The researcher can recollect, affectionately teachers from colleges to the university, including his present institution, many of whom were always willing to encourage students from less privileged backgrounds. One of the important things is that my post-specialization is Indian political thought. Perhaps nobody has that specialized appointment in the department today, at present time. So what happened when I saw the syllabus, Indian political thought syllabus, it was based on thematic. So strategically, this Brahminical faculty, what they used to do, they never used to teach social justice thinkers. That's a different thing. So liberal, even if you want to bring Ambedkar as a liberal socialist, they never used to recognize them. So what I did, there was a syllabus based on thematic framework. I said, sorry, nothing doing. It must be based on the individual thinker related to a theme. So they argued that no, many other thinkers might be not able to cover. I said, I don't care. I don't care. Let them be part of some other courses. Let them come as a second paper of Indian political thought, third paper of Indian political thought. Let it be 3 papers of Indian political thought. But they must be, and my reason being saying that it must be like individual thinker and theme, precisely to bring Ambedkar into Delhi University syllabus. First time in Delhi University, Ambedkar encroached into the syllabus. And over a period of time, with the help of other colleagues, college colleagues, we introduced a course called Understanding Ambedkar, which is a popular course in Delhi. UGC wrote a circular to all the universities saying that, look, you need to initiate such kind of courses. Now that is not happening. That's a different. And later on, I started courses like Dalit Bhojan Thought, Dalit Politics for my MPhil, Dignity as a paper, human dignity as a paper for my research scholars. So many things comes in as part of this pedagogical journey. And now, when I introduced Karunyakara sahab, sorry, I'm extremely sorry. No.
The lecture is going very well. You could carry on.
Okay, another 10 minutes, please. Just 10 minutes. I have only 2 things to share. Okay, so when I introduce human dignity, because it is something to do with theory, like empirical Shudras or theoretical Brahmanas. There are many things which comes in, or maybe how. So what happened? A senior professor claimed that. A senior professor who felt very much threatened that they felt that because their political theory, and they felt their subject is being completely taken over by the Dalit Bahujan scholars or the scholars or the social scientists. So therefore they were so scared that they were so unhappy that how can a dignity can be taught by Sukumar. And similarly, when I introduced Kancha Ailaya's readings, why God as a political philosopher and why I am not a Hindu, such readings created a fury. It was a huge, and somehow my colleagues really stood with me in the department, and therefore I was able to keep those readings still even till today. Though Savarkar comes in, I don't care. I can teach Savarkar and I can deconstruct him. That's a different matter as a subject, as a pedagogy. So, but my colleagues, they stood with me. And when, I introduced this Understanding Ambedkar, it was a huge tussle. Even very few of my colleagues, there are support of my colleagues within the department. It took 2.5 hours to debate on only Understanding Ambedkar. They used to say, why only a course, one single course on Ambedkar? I was defending on every query which they raised. I said, if not Gandhi, why not Ambedkar? They said, no, you bring Ambedkar with Phule, many others. I said, look, we will be very happy. But one thing is that we want Ambedkar to be taught as a thinker, not as a only thinker or a scholar, anti-caste scholar, because he spoke on many things, nationalism, he spoke on democracy, he spoke everything. So therefore, we want Ambedkar to be taught in a larger, different, pedagogical context rather than. So then what they did, very strategically, they took Gandhi towards to global. Globalizing, Gandhi. So the space that, they felt. Anyway, so therefore, these are the challenges which, has been witnessed. Anyway, then, and as a, faculty, as a representative of the community, as per UGC mandatory circular, university used to ask me to go as an observer when there was appointments happens. So whenever I used to go, I used to observe the experts. My role is to make the interview much effective. There should not be any kind of, discrimination that happens. How much time they are taking to conduct interview for other communities, for our communities, what kind of questions they are asking, whether the questions are intimidating us. I told a Sanskrit head that I said, stop this nonsense in a college interview. I said, please stop this nonsense and cancel the interviews. Many of our observers, I'm telling, to be very honest, they go for a 3,000 rupees, they sign and they keep silent. Many of them, I can put it on record. I don't mind facing criticism from some of our colleagues in the university. So therefore, so from ad hoc to guest to all these things which I experience, even till today. Now, as a professor, let me tell, this is there in the another paper, not in this paper. I'm bringing, I'm a professor of political science. I have never been called for permanent post appointment in Delhi University till date. There are many other colleagues, who have been called. Sanghis were completely being called to, conduct interviews. And there was some kind of hint towards and for promotional interviews, they're asking me to go as an expert. Imagine the difference. If they ask me to go as an expert for regular appointments as an assistant professor, that, I will be trying to find a very meritorious or a clean, I will question the other that, no, it should not happen like this. So therefore they are scared. Now they want me to go as part of the promotional interviews where, many colleagues, working for 10 years, 15 years, who cannot deny. I never denied anybody. Because there are colleagues, they are working hard. There could be many problems. Why they are not able to write? Why they are not able to publish? These are all nonsense publications, API score, simply disgusting. Anyway, so therefore, even till today, even day before, there was a call for me from the college principal saying that, sir, please come, we have promotional. I said, sorry, I have a pre-appointment. No, I'm not. Some principals, they said, no, why you are not coming? I said, it's my choice. Who the hell you to decide? It's my choice. I will not come. Though there might be some of the problems, but promotional interviews, no one can stop. But when it comes to them, they very smartly sent. There was in one college, one post ad hoc. Sorry, not ad hoc. Now ad hocs have been gone. One guest post. They want me to go as an expert. I said, I don't want to color my hands with the blood of corruption, blood of communalism, blood of Sanghi appointments. Because even if you are being part of one appointment, I will be branded as I am part of this system. So I don't want. So I completely, So, example, one professor, one senior professor, lady professor, probably Lele Karunyakara might assess, or maybe More might, guess that who is this lady professor who is retired. One fine day, evening, while, in a seminar, she came, she said, the exact words she said, what she said, a senior professor claimed that she appointed an ad hoc to a permanent post who had a decade of teaching experience. 10 साल पढ़ाया ad hoc को, तो उसको permanent बनाया इन्होंने. मतलब ये तो बहुत बड़ा achievement है. So then she was appreciating his performance and also revealing her privileged position that I have given a job. Lady, who are you to give a job? He is already a qualified. He's a 10-year, who taught 10 years in the college, and he's equally qualified. And after 10 years, you are recognizing his merit, and you are coming and telling that, I said, sorry, I don't want to buy your argument on the face itself only. The one who said that, you are encroaching on to the theory, who felt that, you are encroaching on that when I introduced this course, Human Dignity. Anyway, now, Ambedkarism and the culture of silence. Why? I mean, it's very consciously I use this subtitle. Maybe you can, differ with me. As an outsider to the Delhi University ethos, the researcher needed to cautiously find his path. There were attempts to co-opt his ideological alignment, but he found Ambedkar's philosophy as his path, including both left, right, and center. All three ideologies, they tried to appropriate me, saying that please come into our ideology. From the day I joined till today, the pattern-client relationship in academia, which commences from the very interest of a student opting for a particular course, optional paper, overseas fellowship, or ad hoc guest appointments, includes a certain kind of academic jugaad, leading to intellectual slavery. The foot soldiers of different political groups slung on for many years in the hope of getting a permanent appointment. In this process, research quality is compromised, academic credibility takes a backseat, and social justice is thrown into the winds. In a scenario wherein permanent jobs are difficult to secure, students are forced to compromise in various ways. That is what I was trying to hint. And there was 200-point roster which we fought, and first time Delhi University has become a central place to lead that agitation. We forced the BJP-led government in 2019 to succumb to the pressure and the protests, and then they came out with a special ordinance, and the 200-point roster comes back. That was a huge agitation. So for Ambedkar, reservations are not merely an opportunity, but a means of representation. Therefore, me, Lele, More Saab, or any other faculty here who are consciously being present here, this reflects that how opportunity, so it's nothing but representation. He used his intellect to demolish the web of silence enveloping our existence. The journey of Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, culminated with Barack Obama and in the White House. Here the paradigm of Ambedkarism is being challenged by opportunistic and social forces, both within and outside the community. I'm saying within and outside the community. Therefore, that is where I say that, how, the culture of silence within the community is very important to be questioned, to be engaged. One needs to understand. So therefore, and those who are leading a dignified life are unable to effectively counter the situation. One needs to understand the jugaad to survive the domain of knowledge. To conclude, many things were there, but I was not able to. Public Ambedkar and Sarkari Gandhi. The Ambedkarite philosophy inculcates a critical attitude in the researcher, and he sought to dissect everyday occurrence with a different gaze. हम कभी भी जहां जाते हैं वो गेज से देखता है. प्रीवियस लेक्चर में मैंने वो बोला आपको, जब मैंने केरला गया, वहां का जो म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन का जो सिंबल है क्रो, ओके, वो देखने का तरीका होता है, देखने का, the gaze which we look in. If you see a poster in a university, if you see a slogan in a university, you have a different way to look into that. Many innocuous episodes reflect the emergence of a counter public. While traveling to Rajkot on 2nd October 2011, I'm talking about 2011, Gujarat, the researcher witnessed the Gandhi Jayanti celebrations, a lackluster Sarkari affair which is replicated across the country. वो celebrate करता है ना, कुछ मिठाई देता है, कुछ लोगों को जबरदस्त बुलाते हैं, हाँ, कुछ झंडा वंदन करता है, खत्म. But therefore that's what I was mentioning there. How jubilant was Ambedkar celebrations. It was not a Sarkari memory, it is a public memory. So the difference between Sarkari memory and public memory is important. It needs to be emphasized. So he witnessed Gandhi Jayanti celebration like that. It was a shock to the researcher as he witnessed a jubilant flavor of the common people on 14th April every year. Even till today. No, I went to Marathwada University. I gave a Ambedkar Memorial Lecture on April 14th twice in Marathwada University. Twice they called. And my, goodness, you should see this, aura. I mean, I feel that, I should go and document these celebrations. That is what exactly we need. That's a huge project in front of us. I think many of you are there who can really take a camera and go and talk about people that, why do they celebrate like this? That becomes a very important research project for us. I was so happy to see them. I was dancing with them in the procession. That is where, so therefore every year it happens. Ambedkar is a struggle for dignity. Ambedkar is owned by people who find inspiration and strength from his relentless struggle for dignity, whereas for celebrating Gandhi Jayanti, the Sarkari funds are given for different government institutions. Of course, NDA government also came, it tried to appropriate, it started celebrating Ambedkar, and it is an eyewash. Everybody knows. First 2 years they celebrated, after that, now they are celebrating Savarkar, or Golwalkar, or, Deen Dayal Upadhyaya. Fine, you celebrate. But what happened to the other, thinkers who have created a sense of, dignity and self-respect among the majority of Dalit Bahujan masses? That is the person in front of us, or to the government. The spontaneity and joyous abandon reflected in the Ambedkar Jayanti celebrations are missing. Similarly, during the field visit to Moradabad in 2011, in the same year, and on 2015, 2 years, famous for its brass industry. Moradabad is famous for its brass industry. mingling with the statues of gods and goddesses, were statues of Ambedkar in multiple shapes and sizes. I've seen with other side, gods and goddesses, and other side you can see huge kind of, busts of Ambedkar in Moradabad. These were commenced by the ordinary people and not the political class. So therefore, in Delhi University, a couple of years back, there used to be a small statue of Ambedkar, which was demolished to construct a new law faculty building next to the Mother Dairy. But one fine morning, a big statue of Gandhi was installed in the main gate of the university. So the collaboratory march to the history is always contested. In Ghana, the Gandhi statue was pulled down 4 years before, as many felt that his ideas on slavery were racist and he held derogatory opinions of Africans. Striving to lead a philosophical life. So therefore, the last line which I'm trying to conclude, the last 3-4 lines. Striving to lead a philosophical life is a very strenuous political act. We are all leading such kind of strenuous political act. So when the philosophy seeks to address the concerns of the margins, often it is lonely struggle. More might be struggling lonely. Lele Saab is struggling lonely. Maybe I am also struggling lonely. Or many of you at your level struggling, you are lonely. It is not that everyone in this room is struggling at their own levels. Okay? In this lonely journey, occasionally the larger world extends its support, albeit selectively. Sometimes we get support, sometimes selectively, some people support, sometimes they don't support. But the struggle keeps on going. It's a constant negotiation with the dominant discourse which seeks to negate one's existence. Constantly, the researcher has to bear the core of being a Dalit, within quote, always introduced as a Dalit scholar. When I think, our Smita or Sarita, I'm sorry, I'm not able to recollect your name, when she introduced me that, a social scientist or a scholar, okay? So in that context, I said that, I'll come to that later. Even constantly, the researcher has to bear the cross of being a Dalit, always introduced as a Dalit scholar rather than a social scientist. Even while being included, the nomenclature is highly exclusionary and the stigma is reinforced. Jai Bhim, once again, thank you so much for asking me to be part of this lecture series. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I'm extremely sorry for taking
No, sir, it is
20 to 22 minutes more time. My apologies for that. Because if I stop or if I really don't fulfill that thing and वो अधूरा रह जाएगा, मेरे को भी अच्छा नहीं लगेगा. So that's why. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Now I request Professor Leela Karunyakara, sir, to please comment on today's lecture.
So, am I visible and audible?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Thank you. In the morning, it was not proper. Anyhow, Professor N. Sukumar, it's a, as on date, very well-known figure. There is no need of an introduction to him. Being, at the citadel of the, what is that, academic activity of India, that is called Delhi University. So, being there, Professor Sukumar, I'm so happy to see him to use that academic as well as public space to spread the message of Ambedkar through the different activities, scholarly as well as social activities as well as scholarly activities. Throughout his lecture, he explained how he had interacted with the others through the Ambedkar's prism, and making Ambedkar to be felt in the public spaces, standing for the rights of the Dalit community. That's a wonderful experience I could understand from his lecture. It's a wonderful experience you have gone through, Professor N. Sukumar, and I really appreciate the many things you have. When you mentioned that you took those activities to the logical conclusion and making it a positive results, like withdrawing, 200-point reservation roster, and withdrawing a circular by the UGC chairman regarding the barring the SC/ST students from SC/ST students from taking the reservations in MPhil and PhD seats, where your agitation successfully resulted into withdrawing such a anti-SC/ST scholars circulars. So that's benefiting today. Many many SC/ST scholars are getting the PhD seats through the reservation. It's a wonderful. It's not that we should stop with whatever Ambedkar did. The next generation have to take up that legacy forward in different forms, which Professor N. Sukumar be part of it. I appreciate Professor N. Sukumar not only of your throughout life what you have engaged with this kind of activities, benefiting to the community. At the same time, being an academician also, you are leading a successful scholarly life, which is very encouraging to my young scholars who are with us today in this lecture. And many faculty members are there, young faculty members as well as young PhD scholars are there. So I once again appreciate Professor Sukumar giving his valuable time and being with us on this to share his experience through this lecture with all our faculty as well as research scholars. It's a wonderful experience. It's a wonderful time to have with you, Professor Sukumar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Leela Karunyakara sir. Now this forum is open for question answer session. So those who want to ask a question, please go ahead. Yeah.
Akash?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Sir, your lecture is very wonderful and excellent, sir. And you are very deeply explained on topic. I'm Dr. Kiran Kumre. I'm an assistant professor in Dalit and Tribal Studies, MGHAV, Wardha Central University. Sir, I would like to ask you 3 questions. My first question is, growing with Ambedkar's values is not so easy, particularly in academic life, since it invites radical critical thinking and it would impact on the career aspect of the Dalit and Adivasi academic. How do you respond to it? And second question is, Ambedkar has become political capital, but in academics, his thoughts still find no proper place. What is your view? And third question is, to be culture Ambedkarite is more difficult than social and political Ambedkarite. Being a cultural Ambedkarite involves dress culture, food culture, religious culture, etc. What is it? What is your view?
जो लास्ट सवाल जो है और एक बार दोबारा पूछना प्लीज.
Yeah, sir. To be culture Ambedkarite is more difficult than social and political Ambedkarite. Being a cultural Ambedkarite involves dress culture, food culture, religious culture, etc. What is your view on it? That is my question. Thank you, sir.
Should I respond or should I collect some of the questions?
Please you respond.
Yeah. No, see, growing with Ambedkar is a very challenging thing. Many of us, sometimes we imbibe, sometimes we don't. Okay? For different reasons. I don't say that, everybody should constantly, take this agenda ahead. There are limitations for many people. Okay? So therefore, I'm not even saying that only few and they need to be carried by only few. Let people carry on different occasions, on different, times. But there should be somewhere, the commitment towards to this project is important. Many a times, in present conditions, if you see that, how turmoil the spaces, like, university spaces or even outside university spaces, there is a huge battles that is happening. Battles in the sense, ideological battles or many other things. So how do we really take the Ambedkarite project, the ideas of Ambedkar, is a very significant concern, and it should become a significant concern. Many, as I said, many might not be able to carry, but we need to carry as part of everyday life. For example, dignity. For example, rights. For example, equality. So everyday notions of these things are missing in the family, are missing in the public life. So how do we really practice it? Therefore, that is important. Being an Ambedkarite means, okay, you may not able to lead a huge agitation or a struggle outside the institution or a space, but at least being an Ambedkarite means to respect and adhere to the values that Ambedkar was continuously striving for within the family, between two individuals, within the family, or many other, between the communities. So therefore, yes, it is challenging, but of course, it needs to be ideologically driven. Perhaps we are all, the present generation, I would like to bring them to this concern is that, why are we becoming really consumerized citizens? Okay, are we really not bothered to correct every wrong that has been, the constitutional morality that has been advocated by Ambedkar, that every wrong need to be questioned? That is Ambedkarism. Okay, so sometimes selectively some people will be there, sometimes people, certain conditions, but even a small initiative towards to change of the society to strive for constitutional values is Ambedkarism, and it's a project. I might do, I still, sometimes I feel I am doing injustice, that I am not able to do what exactly I need to do for my next generation. Or someone might do 10%, some may do 20%, some may do 50%. So it all depends. So let this project continues by different people, different time spans or different, occasions. So I will be I'm very happy. See, this project itself is Karunyakara's Institute of Dalit Knowledge is a project towards to that kind of thing. Ambedkar's place is no proper. See, look, that is where one needs to play a role. We are all first generation scholars who came, who tried to bring Ambedkar into pedagogy. But now the danger is that pedagogy is being taught in a different perspective. So we need to constantly counter that. By countering that, we also need to bring the new scholarship. It is, see, maybe, in the university spaces in pedagogy, it might not be there. But we need to use this public memory as a pedagogy towards to the people, which will help for the social movements. I'm telling, social movements will be nurtured not only through just academics. It is through the activists who will engage with these books and narratives or biographies or small booklets. As I said, that Hetuvadam played me a very important role. I don't believe in God even till today. Okay, so therefore we need to take this Ambedkar as a non-pedagogical idea also. Where non-pedagogical spaces also how Ambedkar can be taken in. So it could be, lectures, plays, Kabir Kala Manch, okay, and many other, Ambedkarite, plays, projects and all, they comes in and they take this agenda ahead, cultural group. So therefore this, and yeah, of course, it is needed. We need to strive and we need to see, look, very pragmatically, now in a position that where we need to say, we should not say no to any other, but to make our syllabus presence, because the Brahminical or the RSS model of challenging is that no, we don't want this. Okay, now you want this. If you want this, we want this. So there they will come to a compromise. Okay, so therefore we need to, when Savarkar was introduced in our syllabus, our head was very conscious, saying that Sukumar will object it. I mean, I was very smart enough. I said, okay, let Savarkar be there, but Ambedkar is already there. So you want to come in Savarkar. So they place Savarkar before than Ambedkar. You whether place Savarkar before than Ambedkar, or Ambedkar remains as Ambedkar, and Ambedkar will challenge Savarkar. So therefore, we need to be pragmatic when we are trying to introduce the syllabus. If not directly Ambedkar, you bring some studies, you bring some biographies, you bring some narratives, so that somewhere these ideas comes in, and where they may not be in so much position to see the difference. Yeah, I mean, see, social and political political culture of Ambedkar, that is very important. I mean, well, it's all personal. I mean, see now how long we can, question our own people. There are people who really take Ambedkar as an advantage. Okay, but there are people who take Ambedkar as an advantage and then fight for the community. Therefore, that's what in my lecture I said, that the politics of silence. For 3,000 के लिए जाके साइन करके आना, इससे ज्यादा वो जो सेल्फ जो है, मतलब वो होता है ना, वो क्या हो सकता है जब आपका रोल वहां पे इन लोगों को चैलेंज करके भाई ठीक से इंटरव्यू करो, बोलने का स्पेस है. यू आर वेरी पावरफुल पर्सन इन दैट एज एन ऑब्जर्वर. They don't even open their mouth. Okay, so therefore, you need to become therefore the politics of presence, the consciousness can be gained only through ideological imbibedness. And you need to become, I'm not saying that you need to become an ideological fanatic. That's a problem. You need to be ready to even engage on Ambedkar, even if there is necessary of criticism. Therefore, the scholarship grows. Okay, so therefore, we need to make more social and political Ambedkarites than other Ambedkarites, which you said, cultural, that, okay, I represent this, but other things I am not. So therefore, this is what my response. More Saab, you want to ask?
Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Yeah, Professor Sukumar, it is nice to hear you after a long time.
Thank you.
Because we were trying to mentor the international scholars, and then now it is thanks to Dr. Karunyakara that I am able to hear you out. It's very nicely put forward many of these things. I was just trying to comment on few things, like, that how do we locate Ambedkar? How do we present Ambedkar to the new generations? And how do they relate their own struggle with the philosophy with which Ambedkar is there in the minds of the people, in the society? The social identity of Ambedkar, or a physical identity of Ambedkar, or a spiritual identity in that sense of spirit, And I'll cite one example of my own university, that, as you have said, that let there be Savarkar, but let there be Ambedkar also, so that we can clearly put forward both the views. Like, we have initiated, Dr. Karunyakara was here with us initially. We have one course called Moral and Personality Development course, MPDC. We had one module exclusively on Dr. Ambedkar. So when Dr. Kameshwar Chaudhary was there, so I was regularly going there. Now the point is this, that you may have MPDC, you may have Dr. Ambedkar's ideas and philosophy, but the way it is carried forward by somebody who has a staunch appreciation of Savarkar teaching Ambedkar is a disaster. And that is what is happening in some of these courses, which are the way they are conducted. At never the MPDC coordinator is there with the person who has read Ambedkar and who knows Ambedkar not only spiritually, but at least academically, professionally. So this is one issue that I always feel, that we may see that then what kind of Ambedkar they would be able to take forward to the people, who are already carried and confused, Particularly, I'm referring to the new lot, very nice one, very, very articulate, very vibrant, but the way the ideas are being taken forward to them, there itself lies the major flaw. That's where, I see that how are they growing then? With what Ambedkar? Which Ambedkar? Which Karunyakara is talking, which More is talking, or which Suku is talking? Now, this is where the issues are, Because the real Ambedkar, what we are trying to say is what we know about what he has written about, starting from annihilation of caste to waiting for visa to his writing and speeches, But these are not part of the academic curriculum in any way, that way. So bringing Ambedkar in the academic sphere, the discourse of academic and Ambedkar's existence is a big challenge, and we still are struggling with that, Thanks to our first generation faculty members who brought it. Thanks to your and my generation that who are trying to discuss, debate, and carry forward. Now we need to look forward to third generation of people who would say that no, if the public funded institutions do not do well, then let there be private institutions to take his ideas in a different centers coming up, and then they are taking his ideas in that way. Like that is the only way I feel. This is what I wanted to comment on it, because the worry which you have brought forward by putting the theory, meaning putting your own ideas, itself is really important one for me, I think. What do you say?
Well, yeah, see, this challenge is being faced by all of us, number one. Maybe we may not be in a position to completely change the entire next generations, but we are trying our level best, our attempt towards to changing them as a social, or bringing the social, not only social Ambedkar, but also the political Ambedkar into the classroom. Because, many a times Ambedkar is taught in a very, very shabby manner, see, not only today, Professor More, if you remember 25 years before, academics, which was also dominated by the left liberals, honestly, left liberals, they also had a very dubious kind of, they never brought Ambedkar into a discourse at all. Okay. Now, the Ambedkar comes in within this 2 decade span, 2 to 2.5 decade span, where we all got into the academic spaces. And now that space is want to be completely, the strategy is to sabotage. They don't want to say that, no, we will not teach Ambedkar. They dare not to say that. They may have problems. See, therefore, they will not say to Ambedkar that. They may say no to Periyar, still they may say no to many other, thinkers. But they want Ambedkar to remain there precisely because Ambedkar has been identified as only one icon, though I really don't subscribe to that. There are multiple icons, anti-caste icons, who need to be brought in. So what we also did, somewhere, let me make myself, therefore, when I first started thinking about bringing courses like Ambedkar into Indian political thought, and then understanding Ambedkar, and then those 2 courses which made me, why is that I'm obsessed with Ambedkar? Why is that I'm obsessed with Ambedkar? There are many other scholars, other thinkers, other social reformers within this anti-caste tradition who has built a huge knowledge system. Yes, Ambedkar is important. In comparison with other anti-caste thinkers, Ambedkar has a different space and has a unique space. But why can't we bring other scholars also? Therefore, I thought, and I brought Periyar, Buddha. From Buddha was also not being taught. From Buddha to Phule, to Periyar, to Tarabai Shinde, to many others, So the problem is, if we can really focus on multiple anti-caste thinkers, that could be one way where we can also bring multiple scholars into this. There would be, for example, Bhakti tradition, like Kabir and Ravidas. Okay, though they might not come out from the religious stream, but they critique the caste system. So from there from Buddha to Bhakti tradition to Phule and then Ambedkar, and if we bring that continuous legacy or the tradition, that could be one way of bringing the political in Ambedkar, which becomes the background. All these things becomes the background for the political in Ambedkar. Okay. Now, another thing is that we also, many a times not only we, you, me, or maybe Lalle or many other colleagues who are here might be very consciously we are bringing political in Ambedkar. But many other universities, what is Ambedkar is taught? Ambedkar is taught in as only one particular context, either in the context of constitution or in the context of caste. So social Ambedkar, that's it. Political Ambedkar has never been taught. So how Ambedkar is relevant in challenging the globalization, or how Ambedkar is relevant in, how in the context of, the nationalization of, land and many other things, I don't want. So therefore, the radical Ambedkar. So the radical Ambedkar need to be brought in. How do we bring that? We can bring it only through the original readings. When I am giving original readings to the students. See, original readings, even the other person who is teaching also cannot tamper. So therefore, annihilation of caste or waiting for visa, Buddha and Dhamma. So these original readings, what Congress and Gandhi have done to untouchables, or many other things, states and minorities. Okay, caste genesis and its mechanism, So these original readings, no one can tamper, or no one can miss because students are not idiots. I'm telling you, students are very smart, I'm telling you. So students will read and say that, sir, ye to reading mein aisa hai, ye banda aake aisa bol raha hai. They can really differentiate. So our role is to say that, look, readings, original based readings need to be part of the syllabus, and that we need to strive for. And even the right wingers also cannot say no to it. Maybe, they may have, they may say, no, all these things, but if not annihilation of caste, then what? No, you can't bring Shankar Shastri to introduce caste. You need to read Ambedkar to understand caste. Yes, there are challenges, but this is one way. And second thing, I would like to just give a recent example where, the syllabus recently they have changed. And, I was not being part of it. And as I think in the last lecture also, I shared this idea. I don't know whether if I remember exactly on the day or next day, I spoke here on the same platform. They doesn't want Buddha to be part of Dalit Rebellion discourse. I asked the reason, silly reason which they gave. They said Buddha ka time frame alag hai. फिर बाद में फूले, Ambedkar इनका time frame अलग है. भाई ये तो time frame का बात नहीं है. And of course, after Buddha, then there is Kabir and Ravidas. And then there is, Phule, and then there is Ambedkar, and then there is, Periyar, and then there is Tarabai Shinde, and then there is Kanshiram. ठीक है? तो इन लोगों को इतना दिमाग नहीं है. वहां पे जो बैठता है सब कुछ साइंस प्रोफेसर ये सब लोग बैठते हैं, उनका एक ही आरएसएस एजेंडा है, अपोज करना. ठीक है? कंस्ट्रक्टिव पेडागोजी कुछ करने का जरूरी नहीं है. So therefore, I said that it is meaningless. Buddhism, which challenged the Brahmanism, is a base for anti-caste discourse. And you need to understand from there. Then, what? Again, the institution, ego comes in. Then they said, socio and political context of Buddhism, not Buddha. see the what? How does it really matter? So therefore, these are all challenges. Next generation, we need to, if not only in the classroom, yes, we need to engage in the classroom. Apart classroom, we need to engage with them outside the classroom. That is where we can play an important role.
Yeah, thank you. Is anyone there who want to ask a question? This will be the last question because we don't have really time. So is there anyone who want to ask a question?
Otherwise, I think you can wind up, Akash. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Or in case if they have, otherwise,
I don't think so. So, Professor Karunyakara sir, can we?
Go ahead. Go ahead for the conclusion.
One line I would.
Sukumar would like to speak something.
One line I would like to add.
Carry on.
See, this is a journey. Therefore, that's what I said. Embodied memories, and these memories will continue, and these memories will be contextualized. And as I said, this will continue, and this is a continuous project. And most probably, as I said, after my death, the day I die, and that also should become a memory where Ambedkar comes in as part of my life. It's an emotional thing, but thank you so much for asking me to be part of it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. With the permission of chair, I request Shashikant Bharati to please give vote of thanks.
Thank you, Akash. We extend our sincere gratitude to all the participants and attendees of the 13th online lecture of the Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge Lecture Series. We are immensely thankful to Professor Dr. L. Karunyakara sir for chairing the session and Professor N. Sukumar sir for delivering an inspiring lecture on embodied memories growing with Ambedkar. Special thanks to the coordinators, Dr. Sukeshni, Dr. Darshana Mesram, Dr. Smita Bhagat, Mr. Akash Kobragade, Mr. Shreyat and Mr. Vijay Kumbre for their dedicated efforts. Launched on Ambedkar Jayanti 2025, this series continues to advance Dalit knowledge studies. Thank you for your valuable participation. Lastly, we kindly request you to subscribe to the Dalit Knowledge YouTube channel where this recorded session will be uploaded soon. Jai.
Thank you.
Jai.
Missed anything in the lecture, please go and check our YouTube channel. So there will be the whole lecture will going to be uploaded. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care. We will soon. With the
Yeah,
new-
thank you, Professor Sukumar and Professor More. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you.
Take
Thank you.
care. Take care. Have a good